Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, May 9th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's AEW Dynamite broadcast live on TBS from Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. In the main event, Adam Copeland defeated Brody King in a no disqualification match. King attacked Copeland after the match until Kyle O'Reilly made the save and helped him chase King from the ring.
Kyle O'Reilly coming out! Kyle O'Reilly, we heard last week, he said he'd have Copeland's back. And now look at this flurry of offense from Kyle. This British Columbia native. Ow! Look at O'Reilly and Copeland battering Brody King, and Brody King, thanks for coming. Kyle O'Reilly, a very timely assist.
The Mogul Embassy turned on AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland during a promo segment, with Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona attacking Strickland during a confrontation with Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. In a promo tape from a hospital bed, Kenny Omega announced he'd be using his powers as Executive Vice President to make an Anarchy in the Arena match for Double or Nothing, pitting the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, and Kazuchika Okada against FTR and two other participants who were later revealed to be Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. The two sides brawled to end the show.
And I've been told that Bryan Danielson will return to action Saturday in Vancouver and will be in his home state of Washington when we are in Everett for Dynamite in a week.
He's cleared! He's part of Team AEW! Woo-hoo! For Anarchy in the Arena! Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, Eddie Kingston, and probably
on us.
Bryan Danielson.
Yes! Beat the hell out of him!
So much for that. And a Donnybrook breaking out here in Edmonton. Anarchy in the Arena kicking off here.
Also on the show, Orange Cassidy beat Trent Beretta but was attacked by Beretta after the match. Cassidy was aided by Don Callis. Mariah May defeated Harley Cameron but was attacked by Saraya until Mina Shirakawa made the save. In other results, Jay White beat Rocky Romero, and Serena Deeb laid out women's champion Toni Storm during a promo segment. In legal news, WWE is seeking arbitration in the case of the Janelle Grant sex abuse lawsuit, according to a recent official court filing. The company is seeking to prevent the case from going to a criminal trial in a motion similar to the ones recently made by both Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, who were also named in the suit. The Janelle Grant suit alleges sexual misconduct by both McMahon and Laurinaitis and further alleges that WWE was aware of it. In more WWE news, the company revealed during its quarterly earnings report yesterday that it has struck a deal with NBC Universal to keep Monday Night Raw on USA Network through the rest of 2024 until the show switches to Netflix in January. The show had originally been set to sign off USA Network in October, which would have kept it off the air entirely for 3 months. NBC Universal reportedly paid $25 million for the new extension deal. TKO's financial details for Q1 of 2024 were also revealed yesterday, with a total revenue intake of $629.7 million, with a net loss of $249.5 million, mainly owing to a settlement cost of $335 million paid out by parent company TKO due to an antitrust lawsuit against UFC. In ratings news, Monday Night Raw drew a total audience of 1.619 million viewers to USA Network this week, according to WrestleNomics. That's down slightly from last week's audience of 1.683 million viewers. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was .53, also slightly down from last week's .55 rating. The episode aired in competition with playoff games for both the NBA and NHL. NXT drew an audience of 659,000 to USA Network, also according to WrestleNomics. That's up from last week's audience of 564,000. The 18 to 49-year-old demographic rating was a .19, up from last week's .14. And in injury news, Jayce Jane is out with a broken nose, according to statements first made by Jasmine Nix on Tuesday's NXT and later confirmed on social media by Jane herself. The injury occurred during a match with Thea Hale on the April 30th edition of NXT. Jane is currently sidelined while she recovers, with no timetable yet given for her return. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.